everything else that we see taking place, like the invasion at the border and the kinetic warfare about to hit the streets, and far worse to come to America later this year, as the president, Donald J. Trump, said 100% chance of terrorist attacks.
We are free, we are America.
10 former FBI major department heads wrote a letter to the Speaker of the House stating that the country at the border is being invaded. Let's listen to these two brief clips. I'll be right back.
Bombshell report: the United Nations is in fact responsible for the illegal invasion into the United States of America, and U.S. taxpayers are unknowingly funding it. The Center for Immigration Studies just released this report. The United Nations budgets millions for U.S.-bound migrants in 2024. Public documents show that cash handouts are to help feed, transport, and house people headed for the United States border.
And there's a 100% chance that there will be a major terrorist attack in the United States, or many attacks maybe. And it's all because of what's happened over the last 3 years. When I'm president, instead of trying to send Texas a restraining order, I will send them reinforcements.
America and our constitutional republic will not be restored until the election of 2020 is resolved. We've covered that and some possibilities in other episodes. They need President Trump removed from public office at any expense. Yes, 2024, due to the election set to take place this November, is the pendulum shifting year. It's either us or them. We will have freedom restored and the course correction for humanity, or complete global governance, tyranny, control, a loss of all freedoms, and a reduction of the world's population to about 600 million. Look it up in Rockefeller's memoirs. Think I'm making this stuff up? Agenda 2030, know it well, and you can Google the document and read it yourself. Now, I wrote this book at the end of 2015 and the very beginning of 2016, Trump and the Resurrection of America. I believe it's 5-star rated on Amazon. It was published, I believe, in February of 2016. If you don't have a copy, pick one up. The late Robert David Steele, you know the name perhaps, you can Google it. Before he passed on, he came across my book shortly after it was published and reached out and contacted me. And that was my first introduction to Robert David Steele, and asked my permission to republish and comment and so forth on his shows on the chapter concerning Agenda 2030, which I'm going to go over with you all right now. Robert David Steele did great work for our movement. Rest in peace, sir. All right, Amazon.com. You can pick a copy up of the book there, or visit my website, johnmichaelchambers.com. Here we go, folks. Good program to share with those that need some awakening. The United Nations has announced a new global plan for 2030 that will end human freedom under the claimed label of sustainability. It is actually a plan rooted in government coercion and the crushing of individual freedom. This is the blueprint, for a global police state that's being pushed under the claim of sustainability. And yes, they will criminalize rainwater collection, home gardening, homeschooling, etc. The UN's 2030 Agenda document, being unveiled back in late September of 2015, is being touted as a blueprint for so-called sustainable development around the world. But the reality is that this document describes nothing less than global government takeover of every nation across the planet. The goals of this document are nothing more than code words for a corporate government fascist agenda that will imprison humanity in a devastating cycle of poverty, while enriching the world's most powerful globalist corporations such as Monsanto, DuPont, and Big Pharma, of course. Now, to understand the real goals of the 2030 Agenda, you have to understand how globalists disguise their monopolistic agendas in feel-good language. It should be noted that nowhere does this document state that achieving human freedom is one of its goals. Not a small detail. Nor does it explain how these goals are to be achieved. The reality is, and we're coming to learn how these goals are being achieved, and they are, and they have been. We're going to put an end to this soon. So the reality is that every single point in this UN agenda is to be achieved through centralized government control and totalitarian mandates that resemble communism. They have escalated this Agenda 2030 at warp speed, full throttle since the election of 2016. Why? Because they thought they had it rigged enough for Hillary to come in, but instead the world got Trump. And thus, the rapid escalation of Agenda 2030's goals, with the release, for example, of COVID-19 and everything else that we see taking place, like the invasion at the border and the kinetic warfare about to hit the streets, and far worse to come to America later this year, as the president, Donald J. Trump, said 100% chance of terrorist attacks. We are at war. Be sure to join me the first Friday monthly as I cover Battlefield America and the course correction for humanity on the 40,000-foot view with John Michael Chambers. You'll find that at ampnews.us. Information you need to help make sense of the madness. Wake up and step up. May God be with you.
We are free.